So, welcome back to the next episode of JYD's World. I don't know. I guess that's just the name of it for now. JYD World, whatever. Let's do a retake. Welcome back to the next episode of JYD World. Today I'm gonna be talking about, does having an amateur background really matter? I think it's super subjective. Because you kind of do want that experience, in all honesty. You want that experience if you can go to, like, depending on how far you can take it, whether it's the Golden Gloves, states, nationals, regionals, internationals, Olympic levels, things like that, and like become like a super decorated amateur. That is absolutely dope as shit, because then it opens up so many doors for promotion companies and things like that. Like, and I'm not talking about local promoters, which is nothing wrong with being a local promoter or signing to a local promoter if that's the path that you should take. But I'm talking about like the bigger names, like ESPN level type of stuff, and DAZN and all those other cool things like that. If and in fact you get to those levels and it's like, yeah, you know what I mean, like that brings in so much money for signing bonuses and things like that. But also just getting that world class experience where like you're competing with people, with like some of the best fighters in the world, because amateurs on that level that go to like the Olympics and stuff like that, those are Pan American Games and stuff like that, those are legitimately some of the best fighters in the world. Note though, there are plenty of people who have been to that level as amateurs and did not pan out well as a pro, because professional boxing and amateur boxing are not the same sport, and we'll get to that in another video. But they are legitimately some of the best fighters in the world. So if you are going to be in the amateurs, you definitely want to do it and get the best experience out of it that you can possibly get, learn, and also not worry about this undefeated stuff that's going on, man. I've been hearing and seeing a lot of amateurs not getting fights because they keep coming and pulling up to shows, and then people like, oh no, that's such and such, I don't want to fight him, or I don't want my kid to fight him, and and it's like, y'all are open class, like, you mean nationals, etc., but y'all don't want to fight each other, or your coach don't want you to fight this fighter, and it's just like, dog, get the experience. It's literally a fight every week in the amateurs. There's no reason why. There's no reason as to why you should not be fighting whoever in the amateurs. Like, y'all should be fighting. Y'all should be building those rivalries or those bonds or whatever you want to, like, because all those things get built. You build rivalries with people, you build bonds, brotherhoods, friendships, enemies, a sense, if you will. Like, you do all that in the amateurs. It's dope as shit. So you should get that in the amateurs for 110%. Yeah, I don't know why people are ducking people in the amateurs. I think that's absolutely freaking crazy. Nonetheless, if you are going to be getting in the amateurs, like I said, to reach those levels and to get that certain level of experience and things like that, then absolutely I would say you need to 100% do it. But I do believe that every fighter before turning pro needs to have some form of an amateur career. That being said, I only had 6 amateur fights before I turned professional. My amateur career was literally basically just in the gym, training with pro fighters and being in camps like that and sparring them and working with them and things like that. My amateur career wasn't exactly like a David Benavidez, but it was kind of similar in the respect of, I didn't have a lot of fights. I only had 6, but I was in there working with professional world-class fighters since, I don't know, as long as I can remember. So that, as well as living in the gym and not bullshitting, not taking days off and going missing. Like, no, I don't miss days in the gym. I'm in the gym, I'm training, I'm working, I'm doing like I do. I live in the gym. So that also helped me to get a certain level of, stop yelling. That also helped me, sorry about that. That also helped me get to a certain level of experience, simply because of the fact that I'm used to working with world-class fighters, so I see things differently. Also, I never had an amateur style, and a lot of people don't understand the difference in the two. I never had an amateur style because I did not really fight in the amateurs. Again, I had 6 amateur fights. I didn't fight in amateurs, so I didn't have to learn how to break off from the amateur style. I always fought with a pro style. And sometimes in the amateurs, having a pro style can actually be to your detriment. Like me, I was 6-0 with 5 knockouts in the amateurs. So it never really went to the judges with me. Like that's just what it was. It never really went to the judges. But if you have a more conservative pro style in the amateurs, it can come back to your detriment because you're not letting your hands go enough, you're not scoring enough points, etc. So if you're going to use a pro style really in the amateurs, you better be known for somebody who puts their opponents out, because it can definitely work against you. Unless y'all are both two amateurs who are fighting with a pro style, and then there's no choice but to see who's just the better pro style fighter in the amateurs. The scoring system is not the same in the amateurs as it is in the professional ranks. I did not have to learn an amateur style. I mean, I did not have to learn a pro style because I always knew the pro style because I was always working with professional fighters. Some fighters can't break out of the amateur style once they turn pro, or you turn pro and now you kind of a little bit learning on the job because of the simple fact that you're trying to break out of that amateur style. So you need to have, I mean, every fighter should have their fights handpicked, especially in the beginning of their career. You should have your fights handpicked because you're always going to be learning on the job whenever you turn pro. Whenever you lose those big gloves and you lose that headgear, you're always going to be learning on the job. But when you are like an amateur and you've been an amateur for a long time, yeah, you gotta shift from that amateur style to that professional style, and you have to learn the difference. That's why some amateurs don't always pan out in the pros. It's the truth. Also, sometimes people can stay in the amateurs for too long, which sometimes can derail a fighter's career, because they get what's known as burnout. Like you get burnt out from doing it all the time, which I'll go into in another video. But if you stay in the amateurs for too long, sometimes you just get burned out and you just don't even want to do it no more. But for me, I never had that issue because I started boxing when I was 23 years old and I turned pro at 26 years old. And I did it because I wanted to. I did it because I loved it. There are some fighters who are literally basically forced into boxing because of their family or their dad or their this or their that, and they're just like, I don't even want to do this no more. Like, and they really just said, like, I don't even really want to do this no more. And then they get to a point where they're able to make their own decisions and they literally just don't do it anymore. So yeah, you don't ever want to go through, you don't ever want to be in that type of situation. Like I said myself, I wasn't in that situation. I did it because I wanted to do it, and I do it because I love it, and I still love it to this day. I'm not burnt out, and I'm still zealous, and I still want to do this. Like, I love this. I want to do this. My life doesn't make sense for me if I'm not boxing. Am I more than a boxer? Yes, but my life doesn't make sense to me if I'm not boxing. I love to do this. And I, honestly speaking, like, I didn't need the amateurs in the sense of like I needed a long career and all of the things. No, because I had so much pro experience before I ever turned pro. And then also I turned pro with Breadman, so I was like completely schooled out. You know what I mean? My brother Naeem, I started with Naeem, and he taught me like really everything. I started at Fastlane Gym under Zah Naeem, and Naeem was more so hands-on with me than anything else. And then I turned pro with Breadman, and I was learning under Breadman and Julian and Kyron and so on and so forth. So yeah, all of those things happened. So I was essentially schooled out. So that is why I didn't necessarily need the amateur background, but it was a lot of bumps and bruises the way that I learned it, because I was going up against world-class fighters all the time. So yeah, long story short, the amateurs are necessary. 110% the amateurs are necessary. But if you're going to do it the way I did it, you better be dedicated as hell. Don't waste no time. Don't mess around. Be dedicated as hell. Be willing and ready to sacrifice everything. I mean, even if you got the amateurs, you still gotta sacrifice and things like that. So yeah, there's that. But You mean you got to be ready to sacrifice and do all of the things regardless. But like, it's even harder when you don't have that amateur experience and that know-how, because you're really learning on the job. So is amateurs necessary? Absolutely. Did I necessarily need the amateurs? Yes and no. No, as in the sense of I wasn't in the USA, USA boxing and stuff like that all deep, because I wasn't. But my amateur career, like I said, was in the gym. It was fighting against world-class fighters and professional fighters, and just learning and getting my ass kicked and kicking ass and doing all of the things. So yeah, it's I don't know. I guess take from that what you will. I don't know, but if you're in the amateurs, learn. If you box and learn, don't mess around. Don't worry about them girls, them boys, the parties, the drugs, the drinking, none of that stuff. Like, live in the gym, dedicate yourself to it, and understand that you're not missing out on nothing. Like, you're not missing out on nothing. The streets are not going anywhere, and the only place they lead you is jail or death. Them girls are not going to nowhere, and trust me, after high school, she ain't gonna look like that. And them guys, they not gonna lead you nowhere, baby girl. And trust me, after high school, he gonna be standing right on the corner. Most of them, is just the truth. I'm not wishing on nobody, but it's the truth. He gonna be standing on that corner selling nicks of garbage. You know what I mean? That's just the reality of the matter. It's cool to be a nerd. It's cool to be, in the books. It's cool to not do what everybody else is doing. Do what you do. Stay focused. Those are the people that's winning. So yeah. See y'all next time. Hope all that made sense.